Hey everyone, let's take a look at the Little Mermaid by Lego Disney. This is set number 43225 and contains 1,808 bricks. And this set was provided to me by the Lego Group for early review, and it retails for, I believe, $159.99. So pretty much we get ourselves a clam with all various stuff, and yeah, it looks pretty cool. And there are 5 minifigures included in this set. We'll take a look at those in a bit. And it is a very large box, very massive, and here it is with all the various actions, and it is, I believe, if I'm reading that correctly here, 31 centimeters wide, or 12 inches, or 32 centimeters by 12.5 inches tall. So it's pretty much like a cube, and I doubt this even folds up. Really not much to show on the box, but it does look interesting. I think it's the dark box, though, that just, I don't know. I think it's meant to make this pop out a bit more, but, well, I can't just judge by the box. Let's take a closer look. This is honestly one impressive build, and as you can tell by the size, it's it's fairly large. So here we have a clam, and this doesn't fold up, but we have various accessories and stuff that's going on here. And we do have our 5 minifigures. The only ones I can really remember off the top of my head is Ariel, and then I think this is King Triton, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not really into the Disney theme stuff much, but this is just cool to look at. And don't worry, we'll be taking a closer look in a bit. And if I'm stumbling over my words, it is early in the morning as I got to get work done. So here's the back, and it's not too impressive. As you can see, there's plates and shoe sliding plates and Technic pieces and stuff like that. So this is pretty robust, but it doesn't fold up. Okay, so this is pretty stationary here, and you got to be careful when picking this up because sometimes these pieces here can just come off. You got to be careful, and we'll talk about the build quality in the review. And yeah, so what I can point out here, this is some kind of laboratory. We got fish, crabs. The fish with a name, I'll have to look at what his name is. I'll call that Mr. Krabs maybe. But there's just so much going on here, and my turntable's about had it. Well, this angle's not going to do us any justice. Let's take a closer look. Here we have Ariel, and as you can see, lots of landscaping and all sorts of vegetation around her, and that's pretty cool. And here we have Karina just floating around up here. And my apologies if I get my characters' names wrong. Here we have a little throne room, and I think this is King Triton. Triton? I've never seen this show before. I like the detail on the top of the clamshell. Looks pretty cool. And here we have Indira, if I'm pronouncing that right. She's just floating around there too. And we have another figure here, and her name is Ursula. At least I'm hoping I'm saying that right. Surrounded by fish and stuff. And there's a little bit of a bookshelf back there, or an item shelf. It's pretty dark in there, and yeah, so I haven't got that light set up yet. Now I do like these little pools here. This is pretty clever. All sorts of greenery and stuff. And I think that's Flounder, and no, that's not Mr. Krabs, that's Sebastian. And yeah, you got a little sunken ship here as part of the sail. You get a lot of fish in here, so you get the orange and the magenta and spring green. And I just like the set all around. It's packed with lots of detail. The designers did not go skimpy on this one. Now we're going to take a bit of a look at the back here. And we already saw the close-up, but here it is with the really close-up. And I'm sure one can probably finish this off, but that old saying, there's one side that has to face the wall. So that side will be it. So this is pretty clever here. It's got lots of little and big pieces for the detail. Honestly though, this was a very enjoyable build. I think it might have been the colors that really drew my attention into it. Well, let's dive into the review. Let's dive into play value, and as you can tell, yes, this set is somewhat playable. You do have your platforms, your minifigures, and plenty of accessories. But for the size of the set, its play value is a bit rough. In terms of portability, this is not something you can carry from room to room if you want to play with it and stuff. This is just meant to be displayed on a shelf. So I'd say more as a display piece than playability. Now for build experience, it was fun to put this together. I'm not going to lie there. I had fun putting it together. I enjoyed the build. It was just relaxing. Some parts of this were pretty challenging, but nothing that was hard to work through. So for me, I just enjoyed the set all around. It's a really nice build. Now for build quality, I'd say it's average to above average because, well, some pieces can flake off. Like these here come off pretty easily. You know, it doesn't take a whole lot of effort. And put that back on there. We got the fish. This stuff could easily fall off. This back piece is almost the same as the bottom lip here, and you got to be very careful moving this thing around. And like I had said, this is not really easily portable and movable. So you have to pick this up at the bottom, and this has a lot of weight. So this is not something you can easily move around. So for build quality, I think once you build it, you set it somewhere and just put it on display. Now for city drop-in value, this is going to be hard to drop in a city unless you make some kind of a stage out of this or put this in a fun park and just put some foliage around it. But I don't really see this being in a city. And as you saw, the back is unfinished. And for mock value, well, this is pretty much done as is. Now, if you want, you can finish up the back of the clam or do some other stuff, maybe add lights in here, and it could look really good. So there is some mock value with this set. Now, for the retail price of $159.99, do I think it's worth it? You know, just by compiling my build experience and the fun it took to put this together, I'd say yes. So you get 1,808 bricks for $160. That's not terribly bad. That's pretty good. But for me, what set this set for being a good value is the build experience. Now, the only thing I have to mention is this set is not really broken down for family build. That means you can't have a few members of your group build part of this or this piece here. This piece was isolated for quite some time. This middle piece below this is isolated just a little bit. This part here can be pretty much built separate, but then you got to put everything together. So it's kind of a mess when it comes to splitting this apart to make it a family build. So the best thing is that this is just a solo build. It's just basically a nice relaxing build. For my final thoughts, this is a very nice build for what you're getting, especially if you are into the Little Mermaid theme. So I want to know what you guys and gals think. Do you think this is a nice set for $159.99? Let me know in the comments below.